The Very Best Place for a Morah. Written by Morahs, illustrated by Morahs, for Morahs. Once upon a time, there was a kind and nurturing Morah. The school year began with orientation in the auditorium. It was filled with wonderful, hard-working staff, energetic young students wearing shiny new shoes and brand new haircuts, and the intense sound of lots of schmoozing mommies who were most relieved that school was finally about to begin. Morah stood on the side while the principal spoke. She worked very hard to keep her eyes open. Why, it was only a few short hours ago that Morah had called it a night and stopped her school preparations. The students looked so refreshed, the Morahs not so much. There was a lot of noise and many long speeches. Morah was glad she was not alone, but thought to herself, the auditorium is not the very best place for a Morah. So down the hallway she went to the teacher's room. And what an education she received! The Fabrengens there were intense, the recipes shared were in abundance, and the Jewish geography made her realize how close places like Zimbabwe and Kenya truly could be. The staff coffee machine was a treat, but Morah was hungry. After rummaging, she found a few chocolate coins from last year's PTA Chanukah gift. Despite this grand discovery, she was still very hungry. Perhaps the staff room is not the very best place for a Morah, she thought. So off to the lunchroom the Morah did go. She was glad to find something to eat. There was nothing quite like the government healthy school breakfasts. She chose a Rice Krispie bar and a bowl of cornflakes for good measure. Morah watched as younger staff members quickly scurried into the lunchroom with stacks of papers and piles of tape. Within minutes, she found herself in an avalanche of multicolored flyers, as every wall was plastered with the most important school information. Announcements let all know about the launch of Bnos Chabad, grade Shabbatons, production tryouts, chesed opportunities, friendship circle meetings, fundraising campaigns, and a bulletin board full of CGI summer camp job openings, which would begin in 10 months' time. Sadly, Morah thought, despite their early preparation and the drama that would surely ensue, many girls in camps would still be looking for one another at the start of the camp season. Suddenly, the sounds of pots and pans and kitchen directions being given out let the Morah know that the cook and his staff were busy at their important work. Morah was glad she was just a visitor and realized that the lunchroom was not the very best place for a Morah. Morah walked down the hall. She heard a lot of activity in one room. She stopped to listen. The principals were discussing who they could ask to sub last minute for the next period. Oh no, she desperately panicked. Where can I go that they won't find me? I cannot, will not give up my prep period. Morah then discovered an empty office. Its usual occupier was out sick. Or was it that she was subbing for someone else who was out sick? Or was it maternity leave? Maybe it was a COVID scare and she was still working remotely. In any case, the empty office was the perfect space to make a phone call to the mother of a new student. Thank you so much for calling, the mother began. I know I've never worked in chinuch, but there's just one little issue I wanted to discuss. 53 minutes later, the Morah was ever so glad when the mother's cell phone battery ran out. But the conversation left her confused, as the mother had basically demanded a complete curriculum overhaul. Morah was still flummoxed on how to fulfill the requests of other parents who wanted her to inculcate sterling midos and derech eretz in their children, while still others strongly urged her to not speak to the students about respect at all and just keep class fun, fun, fun. Morah's head started to hurt and the room became stuffy. Perhaps an empty office was not the best place for a Morah. Morah needed answers, and she knew exactly where to turn. In the principal's office, she would find sage advice, inspiration, a comfortable chair, and perhaps a chocolate bar. As long as no students were lying on the squishies or looking for dental floss. Together, they worked on curriculum and classroom behavior expectations. They discussed report card grading and the school's policy when parents wanted grades based on effort alone. And they made a tutoring plan for little Henny, whose mother wanted her tutored in English subjects during Kodesh, as she felt they aren't really learning at that time. These were terrific plans and ideas, and the starry-eyed Morah couldn't wait to print out updated lesson plans, new graphic organizers, and attractive classroom charts so that she could get these new plans into action. The principal's office was a great resource indeed, but in order to truly make a difference, it was not the very best place for a Morah. Just then, Morah got a call to pick up her baby who wasn't feeling well. Not one to be deterred by small things like that, our dedicated Morah ran home, strapped her little sickling into a carrier, and headed back to school, straight for the photocopy machine room. Ink and papers were flying everywhere. She thought she spied the secretary fixing the tech in a classroom. Or actually, was she hanging up the 12th newest updated schedule on the wall? Or nope, there she was, planning room setup for the last-minute event. Miraculously, her copies got done as well. With a cartload of her papers and the baby finally asleep in the carrier, the Morah walked down the long school corridors. She passed the playground doors, gym, library, and the science lab. Yet none of these places were the best place for a Morah. She finally reached her classroom, where a few students were putting away their fresh new school supplies. Oh, Morah Gashtwan, I'm so glad you're teaching us again. Remember last year you drove me home from Malky's party? Do you think you could do that again? Another one piped up. And Morah, about those Slurpees last year? Like maybe we could do Slurpees every Friday? I, said a third, have a very important idea for this year's lockdown drills. Could we keep soda and cookies stashed in the closets? That will definitely help us in an emergency. Morah thought. The car, 7-Eleven, hallway closets stashed with soda and cookies were not the very best place for a Morah. Just then, a fourth student spoke up. Morah, this summer I was with some girls who did things I was not comfortable with. I thought of you and what you told us about standing up for who we are and what we believe in. Your words kept me strong. And that's when Morah realized the very best place for a Morah is in the hearts and minds of her students.